A question we've been getting a lot is whether it is legal to do that and if states have the authority to stop the federal programs, since the American Rescue Plan extended them through September 6. If we look at the text of the CARES Act, we find that the programs are enacted as an agreement between the states and Washington, and a state can withdraw from the agreement with a 30-day advance notice. The text of the law from the sections on PEUC, PUA, MEUC, and FPUC in the CARES Act read verbatim, "Any state which desires to do so may enter into and participate in an agreement under this section with the Secretary of Labor, in this section referred to as the Secretary. Any state which is a party to an agreement under this section may, upon providing 30 days written notice to the Secretary, terminate such agreement. The agreement does not necessarily require a complete opt-out of all federal programs, although that is what most states are doing. Conceptually, a state could opt out of one program such as FPUC and elect to remain in other programs. For example, the state of Ohio is only opting out of FPUC, but will continue to pay PEUC and PUA claims. There is still a disagreement though concerning whether PUA can be cancelled. The CARES Act requires that you provide PUA benefits to every eligible worker. Section 2102, concerning PUA, reads, "The Secretary shall provide to any covered individual unemployment benefit assistance while such individual is unemployed, partially unemployed, or unable to work for the weeks of such unemployment with respect to which the individual is not entitled to any other unemployment compensation." The Department of Labor, under former Secretary Scalia, acknowledged this obligation in a memo released on June 5, 2020 to the Department of Labor Inspector General. The Secretary of Labor, Secretary, must provide PUA benefits to an individual who is determined to be eligible under the method described above. Under Section 2102, the Secretary shall provide to any covered individual unemployment benefit assistance while such individual is unemployed, partially unemployed, or unable to work for the weeks of such unemployment with respect to which he or she is not entitled to any other unemployment compensation. The relevant language is not discretionary. The CARES Act gives states discretion over other pandemic-related unemployment insurance programs, such as federal pandemic unemployment compensation and pandemic emergency unemployment compensation. However, Congress did not grant states the ability to strip PUA benefits away from vulnerable workers. Further, the CARES Act requires that PUA benefits include the $300 top-off, even if states opt out of this supplement for other benefit programs. The CARES Act, Section 2102, clearly states that the amount of PUA shall be the weekly benefit amount authorized under the unemployment compensation law of the state where the covered individual was employed, except that the amount may not be less than the minimum weekly benefit amount described in the section of 625.6 of Title 20, Code of Federal Regulations, or any successor thereto, and the amount of federal pandemic unemployment compensation under Section 2104 of this title. Senator Bernie Sanders, in a letter to the Secretary of Labor, writes, "According to the Government Accountability Office, the minimum PUA benefit is below the poverty level in 29 states. The $300 federal supplement has allowed jobless workers across the country to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads. Allowing state governors to cut this assistance off will guarantee jobless Americans plunge into poverty. As Secretary, you are obligated to ensure this aid gets to workers. To ensure that obligation is met, I urge you to commit to holding states accountable for their role in administering PUA benefits. Workers who lack access to childcare, have lost employer-sponsored health insurance, and fear for their health and safety as we work to get every American vaccinated are entitled to these benefits. They will be forced into poverty, either with unfair wages or no income at all, if you fail to provide these benefits. Thank you in advance for your attention to this important matter. Let us look now at the consequences of terminating the programs. PUA, or Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, are the benefits to the self-employed, the underemployed, independent contractors, and individuals who have been unable to work as a direct result of COVID-19. This includes individuals diagnosed with COVID-19 or instructed to quarantine. If you are an independent contractor or self-employed, you are most likely receiving PUA benefits. Before the pandemic, these types of workers were ineligible for any kind of unemployment benefits, but the historic CARES Act enacted the PUA, which allowed many to survive as coronavirus shattered the economies and their businesses. How it would change. Beginning the date in which the states terminate the program, those states would stop paying PUA benefits to existing claimants and not process any new PUA claims filed after the expiration of the notice period. In short, if you are currently on PUA, you will no longer receive any sort of benefits, and self-employed workers will no longer be able to file a new claim. PEUC, or Pandemic Emergency Employment Compensation, is the extension of the state unemployment benefits for claimants beyond the traditional number of weeks. PEUC allowed claimants to extend their time on unemployment where they normally would have expired. Before the pandemic, you could only be on unemployment for a certain number of weeks, usually around 26, varies by state. The CARES Act added PEUC so that everyone can remain on unemployment benefits throughout the pandemic. How it would change. Beginning the date in which the states terminate the program, claimants who have exhausted their regular UI benefits would no longer be eligible for payments. This means that the majority of claimants will no longer be eligible, considering most people filed for unemployment at the early stages of the pandemic and are now way beyond the expiration date of their traditional UI benefits. FPUC, or Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation, is a $300 weekly add-on benefit for all types of unemployment assistance. It basically added $300 a week, or $600 a week in the first months of the pandemic, to everyone's regular weekly benefit amount. This benefit allowed claimants to receive benefits that would let them survive through the extended period of unemployment during the pandemic. How it would change. Beginning the date in which the states terminate the program, those issuing the $300 weekly FPUC benefit payments for weeks after the expiration of the notice period. The end result of terminating all these programs is that millions of claimants from the affected states will no longer be eligible for any sort of unemployment compensation. The only people who will continue to get paid are those who applied for regular unemployment insurance this year, and still have weeks left on their traditional UI claim. Those claimants would no longer get the FPUC, they will only get the state base weekly amount, which in some states can be as low as less than $300 per week. Bookmark our tracker, link in description, to stay updated on which states are ending federal unemployment programs early. Make sure to leave a comment for this video expressing your opinion, or if you have any questions. Please also like this video and subscribe to our channel, and follow Unemployment PUA on Twitter for more news and updates about unemployment.